As if things couldn't get more embarrassing when it came to Miss Marvel. It actually did. It somehow is a bigger disaster on ABC than it was in its initial release on Disney+. Disney would like to believe, Marvel would like to believe. In fact, I don't think they believe it, but they would like you and I to believe that Miss Marvel is a big deal, a big time star, a comic book reader favorite, a character that really everybody just loves. They cannot wait for the TV show and her to be in the Marvels movie. Obviously, they're doing this for a couple of reasons. One of them being they've got the SAG after shutdown stuff, so there's less programming coming online. I believe we're going to see more of this original Disney Plus content make its way out to ABC, as they're going to need new content because they don't just want to have reruns over and over, but also because the Marvels is coming out in a couple of months. It's just right around the corner. It looks like it's not going to be a big hit. That's just my read on the whole thing. I don't think Brie Larson's Q rating is very high, and not many people know who Iman Vellani is, the star of Miss Marvel. And I will admit, she seems like a nice girl. She seems like a nice person, very sweet, certainly knows her comic book stuff, but is not a star, is not an attraction, but she is going to headline or co-headline the Marvels movie. Let's get the show out and get people just falling in love with this little girl as Miss Marvel. That did not happen. I do want to give a tip of the cap, the proverbial cap, to Cosmic Book News and Matt McGloyd. He actually wrote the article that I'm going to be kind of quoting here, and I've got some opinions on this and why all this happened. If Disney and Kevin Feige were hoping for a big boost for the Marvels by airing Miss Marvel series on ABC starring Iman Vellani, it backfired. Just like on Disney Plus, Miss Marvel is a huge failure for network TV and suffered the worst ratings in the time slot and the worst ratings of any Marvel show on ABC. Disney announced back in July that Miss Marvel would make its network debut in August, ahead of Miss Marvel's theatrical debut in the Marvels on November 10th. And worth mentioning is that Miss Marvel is also the first MCU series to air on network TV. So this is kind of a big deal. Like I mentioned, we've got these strikes going on. I don't know if you heard about this, but we got the WGA strike, we got the SAG after strike, so we're not going to get any new writing or acting on any of these shows, and they're going to be searching for content. And the original stuff that they have created for Disney Plus kind of makes sense to move it over to ABC if you need some new content. You don't want to have reruns playing for 2 years straight as they try to figure all these things out and work out some contracts that everyone is happy with, and it doesn't sound like that's going to happen anytime soon. And there are a lot of mainstream properties that have original content on Disney Plus that you would want to move over to ABC, hopefully to attract an audience. Me personally, this is just me, I wouldn't have taken my lowest rated, my lowest performing show of all time on Disney Plus, Miss Marvel, and had that be like the first experiment. I probably would have shot for some success on this one. This was the show that they could pluck and put onto ABC that was the most likely to fail. If you were asking me, and I'm not a TV exec, but if you're like, Wes, what should we have done here? I probably would have done Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Captain America is a big name character, and you get a lot of villains in there that play alongside, obviously, Bucky Barnes and Falcon, Cap, Sam Wilson. You get Batroc in there. You also get Zemo in there, and some really interesting stuff. I don't think the show is very good, but the first episode absolutely brought out all the bells and whistles and felt like the MCU, and then it just kind of goes downhill from there. But I probably would have done that one. Bigger name characters that people actually know from the big screen that actually has a really good episode. Now, I have been told that Miss Marvel is probably the best like MCU related thing they've ever put on ABC. And when I talk about MCU, I'm talking about like the Inhumans, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, kind of all that stuff. But despite the quality, and I do know a lot of people that like this Miss Marvel show, nobody was actually interested in it because it's actually pretty niche. It's like a kid show. Would you really want a kid show in prime time on ABC? Maybe not the smartest move. Now let's talk about how badly it failed, because this did not work out for them at all. ABC aired the first 3 episodes of Miss Marvel on August 5th and the final 3 episodes on August 12th. From 8 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern. Per the viewer numbers, we see there was a huge dip from the first episode to the 3rd episode airing, which means viewers turn off Miss Marvel and watch something else or had something better to do. On the first night, August 5th, Miss Marvel lost 118,000 viewers. The good news for the second airing is that 910,000 viewers tuned in to watch episode 4. However, by the end of the night, Miss Marvel had lost nearly 300,000 viewers. So on the first night, the high water mark starting out was 887,000 viewers, dropping down to a low of 683,000 viewers. On night number 2, it started out with 910,000 viewers, and by the final episode, it dropped down to 629,000 viewers. And I think a lot of times when we're talking about ratings and viewers for ABC, Fox, NBC, we're used to talking about in the millions here. So that's not a good number. And actually, those numbers are kind of comparable to what Miss Marvel was actually able to do on Disney Plus, where I believe the average viewership was more like 750,000 people Whereas like the high water mark, I believe, is Loki season 1, which is like 2.5 million maybe. So even like Loki on Disney Plus is blowing away what Miss Marvel was able to do on terrestrial television. Those aren't good numbers. Now, the TV landscape has changed, especially with terrestrial television, over the air broadcast, whatever you want to call it, your traditional power stations. You're no longer having shows that are viewed by like 30 million people each and every week. Like the viewership numbers have declined steadily, especially over the last 10 years as the rise of streaming has happened. Now we got the stream wars. It turns out that wasn't the greatest idea ever. But even with these lower standard numbers, like it didn't perform very well. In fact, it performed so poorly that everything that was airing before it in the same time slot blew it away. With comparing Miss Marvel to the same time slot to previous in the following weeks, Miss Marvel gets destroyed. A week prior on July 29, the UFC prelims and a repeat of America's Got Talent crushed Kamala Khan. A week prior to that on July 22nd, repeat episodes of Shark Tank also crushed Miss Marvel. The week following the Miss Marvel episodes on August 19th, again sees Shark Tank on top. Now, I don't know if these are fair comparisons because the UFC prelims, well, it is the prelim fights, and it's not like the main event stuff that's obviously on pay-per-view. It's still like a live sporting event, and there are a lot of UFC fans. In fact, I used to watch all the prelims back when I watched UFC, basically every single show that they did, and then Endeavor bought them, and now I don't really watch it anymore because I think they ruined the company. But that's a video from another time, probably not even for this channel. And then America's Got Talent. I have things to say about this show, but interestingly enough, if I said anything bad about the show, Jacob Elliottshire would jump on a plane, fly to the Philippines, and kick me in the balls because I think it's his favorite show. But I think there's a lot of popularity for America's Got Talent. And I will admit, if Shark Tank is on anywhere, I will stop and watch it because I just love that show. Even the repeats, and I understand that besides the UFC prelims, these were repeat episodes, but these are some of the more popular, successful shows out there. So I guess we could cut Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, a little bit of slack, comparing the time slot when you had much more popular programs that have already been established that were even in reruns playing before that. But once you start comparing her to her other Marvel characters on ABC, it doesn't look so good. Marvel TV had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, and Inhumans airing on ABC. The first season of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. averaged a whopping 8.31 million viewers, with the first episode drawing in more than 12 million Marvel fans. By the end of the series, season 7 was still getting nearly 1.5 million viewers, much higher than Miss Marvel. What about Agent Carter, which only lasted one season and was canceled? 6.91 million viewers tuned in for the first episode, with over 4 million for the final episode. The disaster known as Inhumans was also better. Inhumans, which is one of the worst Marvel TV shows of all time, saw 5.58 million viewers tune in for the first episode and dropped to 3.36 million with its final episode. That seems a lot worse, doesn't it? You know, comparing it to UFC prelims or maybe a rerun of Shark Tank, you're like, I got to cut Kamala Khan a little bit of slack, but getting 4 times by the Inhumans, or I guess they had more than 4 times the amount of viewers, like that's pretty bad. Even on the Inhumans' worst day, that doesn't paint a very good picture as far as the popularity of Miss Marvel. But we already know Miss Marvel isn't popular. I know it. You know it. Marvel fans know it. The comic executives probably know it by now. But they've been trying to force this character down everyone's throats that they never gave her a chance to get popular. They kept just telling you that she is popular or that she should be popular because they just decided that it must be so. And they just keep this weird cycle with Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. They launch it, and initially it was pretty successful. And then it kind of tails off, then you relaunch it, you relaunch it, you relaunch it, you relaunch it. And it's the same thing over and over. They never make the character more interesting. They never make her hero's journey more compelling. They never let her fail at any of that stuff. And by the end, people are like, I know exactly what this is. It doesn't matter if you give it a fresh coat of paint. I'm just not interested, whether you tell me I am or not. You want to call her a fan favorite character. And it feels like kind of that aura, that cloud that's hanging over Miss Marvel in comic books is also hanging over the character when it comes to, you know, mainstream entertainment. Obviously on the streaming show, Miss Marvel on Disney Plus, and now them airing it on terrestrial television over the air broadcast on ABC, and she's still not popular. No one really cares about the character, and it's fine. It's a children's show. This thing should have been on Nickelodeon or something like that. There's probably an actual fan base that would have liked the character in the show because it's actually aimed for them. Adults just aren't really interested in it. And what does this say about the Marvels? Nothing that we didn't already know. The Marvels is gonna bomb. I predict that it's gonna do like 600 to $700 million worldwide during the lifetime of its release as a movie, as long as nothing really changes, and it sounds like things could change very soon, which would definitely hamper its ability to get a lot of eyes on screen. But even the best case circumstances, I think it does 600 to 700 million. And people think I'm insane. They're like, there's no way this is going over 500,000 worldwide. But there are people out there that think it's going to do $1 billion because Dune got delayed till 2024. It's like, I don't know what you've been smoking, but it sounds like fun. You know what I mean? Hope you don't get arrested on that shit, because that's some good kush or whatever. Whatever the kids are calling it nowadays. No one cares about Captain Marvel. No one cares about Miss Marvel. And I imagine not very many people care about Monica Rambeau. And this thing is destined to fail. And Miss Marvel is who she is right now. You've never put a really good writer on the character, and she's failed over and over again. What did you expect to happen? You try to force feed the character down people's throats, and they basically regurgitated it back up and said, no, I don't like that. There's no way that you can make me consume this and make me think I like it. And this is just, it's such a bad embarrassment, such a monumental embarrassment for Marvel, Disney, Marvel Studios, ABC, that would flop this bad. And, maybe we don't get all those other MCU shows from Disney Plus out on ABC because they made a mistake on the first one they decided to show. But if you need a reminder about how bad things were for Miss Marvel on Disney Plus, the lowest rated show in Disney Plus history, MCU show. I don't want to say lowest rated period because I think Willow was worse, but this is one of the biggest stinkers in Disney history. It's flopping all over the place, and it's about to flap in the theaters too. Miss Marvel ain't over, ain't ever going to be over. There's also a link in the video description.